Hi guys, it's Amy with Aim to Plan, and I am back with a giant planner stack. Okay, so you saw in the title, this is basically my setup for November, but first of all, before I dive into this, I just wanted to say I'm glad to be back. I mentioned in my very last video that I was planning to take a slow down for YouTube, and then I pretty much just like disappeared off the face of the earth. It was a good thing. I really was able to catch up on a lot of different projects. I have been at least trying to post on Instagram some of the major projects that I've been working on, but it was a good chance for me to continue planning, be a functional planner, do all the things, get back into planning, which I love to do, but also to try to catch up on a lot of different things. And so with that being said, I am glad to be back to be able to record this November lineup video and talk to you about what's been working and what hasn't been working in October. I have been in all of my planners. I've, in fact, because I had the time off, been able to catch up with most of my planners, so that's been really good news. But I am also needing to make some changes for November, and so this video will really be kind of like a mix of talking about my planner lineup for the month of November, but also just kind of switching up some of the things on video so that way you can kind of see, like, it's kind of like mid-progress. Some of the things I've already done and some things I still need to do. So we're gonna do a mix of like talking about my planner lineup and also just setting it up. Let's talk about my planner lineup. I have a bunch of planners right here. What I'm gonna do is I think pull out we're just going to start from the bottom. Okay. And so what I've got right here is, this is actually the planner that I have been using for October, and I will do a planner flip through of my October setup. It's just like packed full right now. And just so you can kind of see, at least at a very quick glance, some of the things that has been happening. I did use in here a big, this is like the Tool Daily Pages. I've been using this letter size planner for daily planning for work. And what I noticed in October is that I do some days for work use a ton of space for work, but most of the time it's just like very routine tasks. And so I don't necessarily need to jot down every single thing that I'm doing for work. It would be much easier and more efficient if I moved to like more of a habit tracker, like where I'm tracking the routine events for the day and just like jotting down like anything that's outside of the routine in a planner. So this worked out for the month of October. Like, this is totally mismatched. Anyway, it was working for October, but I am deciding to switch it to a weekly layout, and I'll tell you about that in just a minute. And so these pages I will still use. It will just be swapped with my personal catch-all section. And so I'm going to go to my personal catch-all. This is the monthly. I actually really love this. I have like a random sticky note here. I was a little bit late in October with planning, and so I have sticky notes for some of this. Again, I will do a flip through of October. And so this is just what it looks like. I did use this monthly layout to track all the things. And then just to show you just 1 week, October was like kind of crazy for me in terms of like how busy it was. And so this is just an example of like one of the weeks, but I basically use the weekly, like a weekly where I'm tracking like major events, putting down all the things. I normally use the sidebar to track like task lists, although sometimes the task list gets so long that I have to add an extra sheet or all the other things. I am a functional planner too, so when you see the October flip through, you'll see that I have like stuff pasted in and like there's like all sorts of different sheets. I haven't cleaned it out yet, so I have like all these notes up here that I still need to kind of pull out and move into November, so I haven't moved it yet. But what I noticed with October is that I really do love weekly planning for my personal catch-all, just because I am a lot of times just kind of tracking big events. But I also do that on the monthly, and then I was repeating it on the weekly, and then I started running out of room for task lists. So what I'm going to do is, for the month of November, I'm going to swap these first two sections. So for work, I will be using the weekly pages, and again, just tracking like major non-routine events, like any appointments or meetings that I have. And so I'm going to do that for November on the like vertical catch-all, the big size here, and switch it with my personal catch-all. And then for my personal catch-all, I'm going to be using the big, like the letter size Tool Daily Pages. And so we'll see if that works out in November. I do usually in my personal life use a daily functional planner, and so it should feel familiar to me, and I think it should work out. I'm just really concerned about like work running out of room, so we'll see how it works to use just a weekly layout for work. That's more the concern than anything else. But this is just an example of what I did for my personal catch-all. And again, I'm going to swap flip-flop swap these two sections, personal and work, so that way these two layouts are gonna like be like that. With that being said though, the rest of the sections should stay fairly similar, and so flipping back here, I have a section here that is my chore section, and there's like random notes about my house and just all sorts of like, it's just a mix of all sorts of things. I didn't want to move into a big size, so I was using classic size here. And what I'm going to do is do the same thing where I'm going to be using a classic size, just because a lot of these notes end up being moved eventually, like at the end of the month, into my home binder system, and like I have a whole setup for my home binder, which are all like classic size pages. So I didn't want to like have it on big and then like try to convert it down to classic. So I do use classic size pages, and so I'll leave a chore section here for November as well. And so it'll just go right in here. And then right here is a faith section. And to be perfectly honest with you, I didn't use this section at all. I'll actually show this to you again. I don't use the monthly at all. But just to show this to you again, you'll see this again on like the flip through for October. But like I used basically for the entire month, October 1st through October 30th, like a single spread. And so I do want to try to reprioritize this. I say this every single month, I feel like. But what I wanted to be able to do was do like faith planning, journaling, creativity related stuff, wellness related stuff, mental health related stuff, all in like one single area. And the weekly layout, it kind of works. Like, I mean, I'm able to do some of those things, but I think what I'm going to do is really reprioritize that into my Thanksgiving like holiday planner. And so I think for the month of November, just kind of pause this and move this into my holiday planner, which I'll show you in just a second. And then back here, I just have all of these like random pages. This came from an well, it's partially outdated. So it's an 18-month, like it started July 2022 and goes until 2023 of December. And so the beginning pages that I didn't use, because I did pick this up on clearance, a couple of the months were like outdated. And so I just kind of stuck them in here. But I mean, they're still going to be here. I'll still be able to use them if I want to go back to it. But I think for the time being, I'm going to move all of my faith, wellness, mental health, creativity, all that list of things into my holiday planner. So these pages will just be empty for the month of November. I just won't get rid of the section. And then I have all of my music. This was actually a concert that I did in October, and it's over now, and so I just need to archive all of these pages. I do have the actual music, so don't worry, I'm not like breaking copyright, but basically I had to make copies of it so that way I could go into this binder, but I do have the actual music, I promise. So the music, I made a personal copy for myself so I could take notes in here and have it on the discbound system. And so that will just be archived. That's not going to be moving into November. I just have to kind of clean this up and archive everything for October once, it's basically tomorrow because today's the 31st. All right, and then the very last section that I have in here is my social media. And so for social media, just showing you a random page here again, I'll do a flip through of all of it. But this is the very last week right here, the 30th. So this is yesterday, and today's the 31st, and that's pretty much it. But basically it's very functional. As you can see here, I just take notes of like any major planner related, social media related, tasks, any posts I make on Instagram, any videos I record. So I have not been recording videos. That's normally where I write it. And then this box is a list of all the different ideas of videos, but I also include some here. But like this is kind of like the record of like any videos that I do record, and like kind of like the order of like filming, editing, uploading, publishing, making sure I take the thumbnails, and I just kind of create like little columns here to kind of track those things. But I haven't done that, and you can see here it's like outdated, so I haven't even whited out like August right here. But yeah, it's just pretty functional. And for the month of November, I'm not really sure if I want to keep this or if I want to move into something else. I think just for the sake of being able to, now that I'm kind of talking it out, for the sake of being able to use everything, I'm out of pages here, so I have like one more page. I'm just going to go ahead and use this for the very first part of November. And again, I need to like kind of redate this. But what I'm going to do is probably pull the vertical layout pages right here in the faith section. Where are these faith section pages? Like, so right here, I'll just go ahead and pull these pages and redate them and just kind of use this, right? So my plan is always just to try to use up my stash. I like to adapt things and make it work for me. Sometimes it's not a perfect fit, and I can tell sometimes that it's really hard for me to adapt certain things, but I think I can use this because for social media, I was using a color block at one point, and you know, this is very similar to a color block, and so I think I can do this. I just have to like sit down and convert it. So I'm gonna go ahead and, since I said it, I'm gonna go ahead and move it. All right, so we've got pages here. I'm just gonna take a handful of pages. Again, these are like just all the random pages, outdated pages from the Sage planner that I purchased on clearance. And I'm gonna just stick it in the back. And I mentioned already the idea of archiving. What I do when I archive, or like how this all works for me, is like I have my October planner here. Once I do the flip through on YouTube, and actually what I do is flip it through so that way I can kind of see for myself what notes are still kind of pending, what tasks are still kind of pending. But I go through the entire planner and just kind of like pull out any old notes or old tasks that I need to move to November. And then any pages that I don't need to move to November, I'll kind of take off the discs and store. And I save them for, I would say, about like a month or two. And then if I don't ever touch that pile of like October pages, then I will just end up recycling it. And so any pages that like with personal information or sensitive information, I do go ahead and shred those. But any other pages that are just like planner pages, I will leave there and just recycle after a couple of months. So that's what I ended up doing with most of these sections, my personal stuff. Now for work, I do tend to shred that kind of like right away, because like the really important files that I have for work like are going to be on my computer, right? So that's my setup right now. And you know, again, like the major change is like I just made one of the changes is moving social media pages. So I had social media like weekly layouts. I'm moving into the vertical layout for that, and then I'm swapping my personal and my work sections for doing that. And I haven't done that yet, but basically like the tab for November is, oh my gosh, where's the tab? Okay, here's a tab for November, like right here, and I'll just use that for work, you know. And all I have to do is kind of, actually, let me do it now. Move these sections to the front. I like work to be like the first section, and really it's for no other reason than that's the order that I've done it all year, and so I'm just used to doing that. So I'm gonna stick it right here so that way it's in the front. Right, and then starting tomorrow, which is November the 1st, I will just start with these pages. One of the things that I like to do is when I switch it, especially when I switch into like a completely different layout, whether it's a different size or whether it's a different layout, I do like to keep the entire month together. So like since I'm switching, for example, my work from the like daily pages into like these weekly layout pages, I'll just show you an example here because I'm switching those two sizes. Like right here with October the 31st, I just won't use that, right? So I will leave October 31st as a daily page, and that'll be this, which I need to wipe that out. And like, I haven't even written on it, as you can see here, but I'll have a daily page. And I actually, like, I mean, we're mid-day of like October 31st, and I've been writing on a random sheet of paper. So you'll see that again on the flip through. But I will like end the month with like whatever system I'm using, and then like when I switch to a new system, I will start with just the month of November, right? So starting on the 1st of November, that's kind of where I start. So that's just kind of how it works for me. I like to, like, when I go back and look at it, I like to see the entire month together. And so if, for example, I finish out the month of November and decide to use the same system for December, then I'm fine with using these pages for part of November and then these pages for part of December, and just kind of like having it be on the same page. But if I decide to switch to an entirely different system for December for work, then I will use this entire spread probably for November, and then December 1st just ignore this completely and just start with something completely new. So hopefully that makes sense. That's just kind of how my mind works. But this is my October and November setup right now. Toss my planner over here. I'm gonna go ahead and show you right now that I did go ahead and start setting up for November. I've got my pages in here, and I've got like notes and all sorts of things. I've gone ahead and added my schedule. This will be, I think, purely functional for me. Some pages I don't have any notes whatsoever. I might go in here and just kind of like lay down stickers just to have fun. But one of the things that I'm already starting to do is start planning for like December and really even beyond that into 2023. And so I did go through and look at this entire stack right here, and I realized that I still have enough pages for November and December of this year, as well as enough pages to basically make it all the way through May of 2023. And of course, this is all outdated. You can see this is from 2020, but I'm going to, whether it's with my personal catch-all or whether it's with some other system, I'm going to go ahead and try to use these pages and just finish out using all of these pages. And so, yeah, that's kind of my goal for November. Is my goal for December is to try to use this, whether it's, again, personal, work, or one of the other sections. And then I'm going to start 2023 with trying to finish out the rest of this stack. And these are all the pages from January 1st of, well, of course 2020, but like January 1st all the way through May 31st. And then I have a couple of like, in here, a couple of like extra pages. I do have enough pages. They're not June, they're like September, you can see here, but I do have enough pages for June. So essentially it's like the first 6 months of 2023. And then that's a good time for me to, like, at that point, reevaluate if daily planning is working for me for 2023. So I do like to change it up every month, but 6 months I think is a solid time. So January to June, I have already planned. So, I mean, I'm thinking like way far in advance, right? So that is just wanting to show you that that's what I actually was able to set up. And this is going to be my memory book for Sophia and for the baby. So I did decide to combine them into basically the same setup. This is Sophia's memory book for both of them, Sophia and for the baby, who remains nameless. I've had lots of people ask me what the name of the baby is, but we don't have a name for the baby yet. But I do have 2 girls. Baby girl number 2 is coming in December. And so for both of them, both Sophia and the baby, I like to like keep their system, whatever I'm using for them, consistent for 12 months. And so for Sophia, what I've been doing is using basically random teacher layout pages. And for the baby, I have started a pregnancy journal, and I've been using a monthly layout for that. And then whenever she's born, which we are assuming is going to be December, her memory book will start December through November and will be a vertical layout. And so for November, well, actually for October, I have the setup in here. And again, one of the things that I don't do is flip through my like memory book and pregnancy journal type stuff for like my monthly flip throughs, just because I am like normally not caught up, but I am caught up now, which is so surprising to me. I did catch up and like finish out all of October, and so I'm really caught up with Sophia's memory book. I'm already here. So she's using a teacher layout, like I said. I will do a full flip through of her entire memory book for the year of 2022 at the end. Well, it's probably not going to be the exact end of the year. It's going to probably be 2023, but I do like to flip through the entire thing all at one time. So I have her memory book, which is a teacher layout. And then I also have in here the baby's memory book. And so this is her pregnancy, or like really it's my pregnancy journal. So I have like pregnancy journal notes and all sorts of things happening in here. And I use a monthly layout. And so I just take notes about like how the pregnancy is going, symptoms, things like that. And I did flip through that really quickly just because of photos and names and things like that. And so I have that in here as well. And then the third section that I have in here is Sophia's question and answer. And so for November, I don't have any of the questions actually posted, but what I do is like print out the question and answer prompts. I do use a list that I have tried to find on Amazon. I've had several people ask me like, what's the list of prompts that I use? And I have not been able to find it. I guess it got removed from Amazon. And so I've been linking to Etsy, which is where I found it, like when I did like a little bit deeper of a dig, but again, like I can't find it anymore. So like it's one of those things where I found a set of prompts. I started off on Google. I searched for 365 daily prompts for question and answer, and I've been using that set of prompts. And so I just haven't posted the prompts in here, but like basically we started in 2020, 2021, 2022 is this column. And then I still have like 4 more years to go with Sophia. And, you know, it's just, I ask her the question every day, or at least try to ask her the same question. So like if it's like November 26th, which it's not going to be, but like whatever the day is, I'll ask her the question and carry it forward. Now, one thing I did notice when I set this one up is that November has like 0 prompts. So I don't know, like it could be where I just decide that since I'm moving into a Thanksgiving planner, that maybe I should just go ahead and remove this altogether and be more memory keeping and more like Thankful 30 or something with Sophia in this section, just because I have not done November at all for her for like the entire time. I just have no idea if I did it or if I just forgot it or if I threw away the pages or what, but like I have no prompts and no like notes or any answers from her. So Anyway, that's in here. I'm ready for November. So I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do with that. But then I do have it set up again, just like with her memory book. Some of these pages are like old pages that I decorated from like previous years and I never used. So I put those in here to use, and I'll have to redate across the top here. But then I just use like, again, outdated teacher layout pages for her. And so those pages are in here. And then I have the baby's pregnancy journal. And this should be the last month that I use it. It's maybe like part of December, but basically like November should be it for her. And then I also have in here December, right? So the December teacher layout pages for Sophia, and then the December pages for the baby. All right, and that is that. That's the same setup that I've been using pretty much all year for both of them, for Sophia and for the baby, and so that's all done. And now, last little part, this video is always so long, is going to be talking about my other two things, which I kind of do need to change up just a little bit. Okay, so with these two things, the first thing is going to be this. So this is my... You can see here like Heather Kell's Thankful cover that was released in her Blushing Fall Florals. I did put it on classic size discs. This was initially a setup that I did for my holiday planner, and I need to already revamp this. We are like definitely gearing up for major plans for Thanksgiving. I am hosting Thanksgiving this year, which is, you know, kind of interesting since, you know, I'll probably be giving birth like the week right after Thanksgiving. But anyway, so I have been trying to figure out a good system for myself. I'm going to do a separate flip through of like what I have in here, but basically I do have like a bunch of like pages that I've got printed out. I also have things like Cocoa Daisy pages that are actually from October, you can see here, but I'm going to use it for November. And then I have like a bunch of pages that I've printed out. I've got pages from Jane's Agenda that I included in here that I got from a recent sub box. And then of course I have like from the Blushing Fall Florals box from Heather Kell, I have the Daily Gratitude. And so again, I already mentioned that one of the things that I think I'll do is just move into this to be able to do the journaling here. But I also need a planner. And a lot of November, I mean, of course I have like regular plans, but like in terms of holiday planning, one of the big things that I've done in this like break is like go through like all of my old pictures, all of my old files, and just kind of print out and kind of build out some of these major holiday planners. And that's why I had to basically break down my Halloween, my Thanksgiving, my Christmas, and all of these other planners into like separate planners, just because it made more sense. And there was just like so much material. And so I will do something with this, but I will do a separate flip through of this and just kind of like talking to you about the setup of this thing. I'm really excited about getting into this, but I also need to like kind of sit down and really be intentional about like not trying to duplicate a ton of like different things here. So of course some of this stuff will end up in my personal planner, because I mean like things like grocery shopping, I do have to put on my personal planner to be able to do those things. But I also want to have these holiday planners be like a record going from year to year, so that way I'm not always having to struggle to think of like next year, like, oh my gosh, what are some of the major tasks that I need to sit and think about, right? So I'm going to do a separate flip through of this. And also, by the way, I did have in October, I did have my Halloween planner. And so I'll probably do a flip through of the Halloween planner too, just so you can kind of see what that looks like after the pen, with all the like notes that I've been pulling off my computer and my laptop to be able to like kind of put together and again build out like notes from like previous years. And I do tend to of course do the same thing over and over again for each of these holidays, but I like to have them all in one spot. And so I've really been enjoying kind of updating these holiday planners, building them really, but like kind of putting them together and from year to year. So to see like I do tend to be a planner, like I like to like have my routines, right? So anyway, separate video for this and a separate video for my holiday planner. So I did want to mention that. And then the last one is my baby here. This is the planner that goes with me everywhere. It has a combination, in October it had a combination of like some skinny classic pages that I was using for budget, and then I was using really what was like a on the go planner, like a portable daily planner, and I'll show you some of this. But let's see, for budgeting, what I ended up doing was just kind of like ignoring the dates altogether and just kind of writing my own dates and just listing out all of my expenses. Here you can kind of see that. Let me zoom in just a little bit so you can kind of see it a little bit better. And then I ended up running out of these pages just because someone was asking for it, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go ahead and sell the pages that I have left. I don't really use it as a skinny classic. I'm just using it to track things. And so towards the end of the month, I'm just using like random pages here to track all the things. I had to blur some of this out because it's like super personal, like numbers here. But then in October, and I have the same pages here. I'm just going to flip to something that's a little bit blank. I have these like at a glance daily pages, and what I do here is track my food log. So this planner here is a combination of budget and food log. And again, this has been like everywhere with me because like when I go to the store, I need to write something down. When I go to the restaurant, I want to be able to like write down right away like what I've eaten and when I ate it, so that way I can kind of track my blood sugars for my gestational diabetes. And so this has been everywhere with me. I think that for the purposes of like trying to keep something consistent, I think what I'll do is actually keep it very similar. I will have the food log here, and then at the very beginning, I have like all these random pages that are Skinny Classic, and I do have more Skinny Classic pages. These were just the random sheets that I had, but I can pull more sheets in here and just kind of use this to track my expenses. And then I have these sheets that I can use just to jot down any notes that don't belong in the food log or the budget, or like, you know, maybe personal notes or work notes, things like that. And I can just write them in here and just move it to the correct planner or section of the planner when I get home. And so yeah, this is kind of the setup. So yeah, it was a lot of talking, but what ended up happening, was basically I didn't really change that much, is what I took from this video. So I was able to explain my system, but I really didn't change much. It was really just talking to you about like kind of my thoughts for what November looks like. The major change is switching work and personal, and then trying to find some pages that were big size that I can use for my social media. But everything else is kind of staying the same. I'm adding a couple of things in here for my Thanksgiving planner, but like really it's just kind of like being intentional about using all of these supplies and making sure that I use down my supplies instead of just buying all these things and hoarding it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, and I'm really out of the swing of talking for a very long time and of recording videos. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to my channel, and until the next video, bye guys.